Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, all. How are we doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. I trusted we all had a great week and we had the opportunity to read, or we may still be partying from the election. I don't know. Some people are celebrating, some people are in mourning, but I guess hopefully, everybody deserves a chance, and as Bahamians, we will all, what should I say? Give the new party a chance and let's see what happens, okay? So how are we? Is everybody having a good week? Or some people having a very hard weekend, and we barely made it to class this morning?
So far, that's good.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's okay. This is fine.
It's okay. Y'all enjoying the new
I
day?
had a hard week.
I had a hard week too.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try to make this as short and sweet as possible, so we could get back to our Saturdays and relax and unwind and recuperate from the hard week. Now, Miss Bullet, I this semester I just been having problems after problems up. And so let me come off this. Yes, it doesn't echo. Yeah. Okay. So my computer is up, and so can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Miss Lee, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay. Fine. So I think I see what's wrong. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear
Oh,
you.
okay, great. So this computer, I don't know, I must need a new system because this been giving me problems after problems. And when the computer was having a problem, the internet dropping. But nevertheless, we are here now, and let's see how long this will last. So I had a Tuesday class and it was awful. Just kept dropping. But Miss Bulletin go south. Let me just start with, I see you only have 7 persons. I guess a lot of people still trying to catch themselves. Um, do we have anybody who is getting their 5% today? No, nobody getting 5%. Okay,
Okay,
anybody? Sorry?
regarding some article, what are you referring to?
No, attending the civic organization, whether it's
Oh,
Rotary or,
oh, okay, Ray did that.
yeah, you did that
Yeah,
already.
I already did mine as well.
Okay, good, good. And anybody reading the newspaper?
I didn't read the newspaper per
I read
se,
it.
but I read an article about Moody's downgrading the Bahamas to, I think it was BA3, from BA3 to BA2, one of them. And people, I
Okay.
actually had a debate with someone asking if they think it was Brave's influence about how he's going to increase minimum wage and reduce VAT, if that's what caused it, or if this is just spillage from
And what was the response?
I think we were too politically motivated to answer objectively.
Okay, okay. So how are we feeling about this election now? What are your thoughts? Did you watch it or pay attention?
This is a surprise because I actually work in the polls, so
I was just about to say the same thing. I
Okay,
really wasn't surprised. I
I
feel like
wasn't
the Davids were
surprised.
really vocal about what they wanted. They made
Right.
it known. So
okay,
And
but are we in a better position or do we wait and see? We give it them the first 100 days and then make comments.
I mean, you have to wait and see, but
we
I
gotta wait.
definitely feel like he's already started getting the ball rolling.
No, you're just from BOTL
I
12.
disagree.
You're just from
No,
BOTL
to be
12.
honest, you have to think about it on a wider scale. Like businesses could actually make money. Businesses could make money longer. We can't keep Bahamians under lockdown. You either want to be safe and protect yourself or you don't. You can't really keep on forcing people. That's going to cause disgruntled people. They're gonna that. I mean, it does. The 12 o'clock curfew doesn't matter to me because I know what I want. I know I don't want to catch COVID. COVID is still real, but it's just something that you can't force upon people forever.
Okay, so how many of us were still inside by 9 p.m. last night?
I didn't go out.
I was
Oh.
inside by 9.
I didn't go
I
anywhere.
went to polls as well. I worked for his campaign thing, and I was really disappointed with the low voter turnout, because I really, to be honest, I feel like that's why PLP won.
Right, because they say they had a 30% turnout, right?
Yes, we had an extremely low voter turnout in Carmichael. Let me say that. I can't speak for any other constituency.
Other constituencies,
And I think
yeah.
that's the reason why he lost. I don't think it's
Keith Bell?
sorry.
You say you think that's why Keith Bell lost?
Yes, Keith Bell
I
won.
lost.
No, I think that's why Desmond Bannister lost.
Oh, I thought
Oh.
Keith
Keith Bell won.
Keith Bell
is
Carmichael.
PLP.
Bell
Oh,
lost.
But
Yeah.
and Carmichael by a large margin. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like how, for example, Leslie and Sea Breeze, she whapped them. That was a clear, they wanted Leslie. But with Carmichael, it was a small margin. Keep Bell won by, as well as I feel like that's because a lot of FNMs did not come because of the threat of the COVID positive and the quarantined, as well as Sheena, I disagree with, you can't keep people on lockdown thing because that's where ethics come into play. If people are unwilling to do what's best for them, the government need to step in and do what is needed for the greater good of the entire community.
Mhm.
So that's how come why I disagree with it. I feel like at the end of the day, we gotta now start thinking ethically, because people, I'm gonna keep myself safe. I feel like you're gonna keep yourself safe, but majority of people, they out partying, no masks and social distancing. They're not staying within their social bubble. So you eventually will have to make a decision for them. But you don't think that they made it worse, keeping people locked down for so long? Yes.
Of course, when you let
I
them
feel
out,
like
they
it
can
was
want to party and they want to stay
right.
away because you kept them locked down for so long.
Right.
Yeah,
They
but you're
could
not
not
keeping them
stop.
locked down 24/7 though. Like we
That's a
just
lot.
was trying to say we trying to keep you all safe. And if you trying to keep us safe for a couple hours and we not abiding and adhering to these rules, like we are our own problem if you ask me. We don't want to follow the law. That's all it is.
I agree, and I understand all of
I
that, but I
agree with
just
that
feel like
too.
the 9 o'clock curfew, the curfew is just a bit extensive because you have people who need to make money. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
but
self-employed persons.
yes,
So when
but
people
what is
can't
open
pay
at
their
night?
rent, you rush
Let's
to
be
go to
honest
the food
now. What
store,
open
you
by
rushing
night?
to go
What
to the
all
food store.
open at night? Only the bars and the clubs open at large, and that's what he was trying to avoid. Because you could, if you if you
But
see
he
these
doesn't
videos,
have to
people.
open the bars. You could keep like restaurants open. You don't have to keep the
Yeah,
bars.
but
You could
people,
always put a
but
restriction on bars and
listen, from
nightclubs.
you out at night, you frolicking. He was trying to minimize all that exposure. And they
And
still
that
was
didn't
going
stop
around.
Bahama because Bahama, the club is be rocking at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody is social distance. So what's the difference? What makes a difference for them
Yeah, but see,
from the
no, but
rest of
that's
society?
no, but see, that's where we go wrong with me looking, trying to compare. Oh, well, they doing this. Okay, yeah, but let's focus on ourselves. You understand? No, we
But
can't
the
fix
thing is, at
everything.
Bahama, party until 4 o'clock
But
in the morning.
Whistling, let me just interject right there. For $16, $17 drinks, they're going to doctor's hospital more than likely. They are not going to
No, because their
overwhelm the.
friend worked there and their friend giving them free drinks. But this how I look
Yeah,
at it. I don't care what
but
none of y'all
what,
do. You know, I have to stay safe, so I can't look and say, okay, my neighbor doing this, well, I could do this too. If my neighbor won't go out and catch COVID, that's on you. You know,
Exactly. You
but
can't
let's
keep
look
on
at
making
the.
a decision for everyone. Let them
Yeah,
make
but
a decision for
let's look at the
themselves.
people who are going to overwhelm the public sector and cannot afford healthcare. And
exactly.
that's the majority of people that are going to be
Who
depending
else?
on the government for free healthcare.
And that's the same one too. Won't be out frolicking every night and mad. So, brave. I gotta tell you all, brave locking this country down here.
I don't care. I know I don't want to catch COVID, so I keep it myself safe.
And that's all to do. I can't say, oh no, he only was trying to keep us safe. Let's go straight back to Dorian. He begged them people to move. They didn't move. And what happened? It caused a strain on his government. He had to do things. COVID, he begging us to stay home. We didn't stay home. So what happened? The hospitals are now filled to capacity. It's almost as if damn if you do, damn if you don't. We are just a hard-head set of people.
I agree. 100%. These people do not listen. They do not want to be locked down, and they don't have. Well, we don't have money even to go and get proper health care. No. And we see that the hospitals are overwhelmed. Do any of us have money to be flown out to the States? And even though Miami and wherever where we would normally go is compromised as well and overwhelmed. Do we have money? No, we don't. We don't even have insurance.
I just was going to say, I have insurance. I am able to go to doctor's hospital, but doctor's hospital don't have no space for me with my insurance.
Okay,
nobody has space for nobody.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So I can't say I have insurance now. Exactly.
Yeah, like Alicia says, what's going to be funny is when Brave has to do the same thing that Menace had to do to keep us safe. Correct.
He's going to.
He is going to have to, especially if these numbers don't stay low. And I think I saw the numbers shoot back up from like 50 back up to 100. So
yes,
he has to be.
So all these empty promises he made in order to get in, I hope he's ready now to let the people see he's a liar too. Because you can't, all these things you promise us, you got to go against it.
Okay, let's let Candace. Go ahead, Candace.
Okay, morning, guys. I firstly, I agree with everything. There's no way that he is going to be able to keep his promise in that regard. He has to keep us safe, or he's responsible to do what is best for the people, and that is keeping us safe, locking us down, whatever. But yeah, after these elections, I'm quite humbled, and I'm just waiting to see what this government does from here on out. I wish them all the best. I was reading something yesterday. It was sent to me. I don't know if anyone brought it up, but the Bahamas was downgraded by Moody's just yesterday. So the credit rating agency basically slashed the country's long-term issuer and senior unsecured ratings to BA3 from BA2. And so what that means is that the Bahamas, the action now plunges the Bahamas. I'm reading the report, sorry. The action plunges the Bahamas further into non-investment grade or junk status, with Moody's adding that the country's $10.35 billion national debt is now more than 6 times bigger than the government's annual income or revenue base. So yeah, it's funny. I mean, that happened like the day after they came into office. So
But
they have to deal with a lot now.
remember now, they've been watching us all along. They know what happened 5 years ago when the PLP was in power. And so they were, I can see them sitting down having these meetings. Listen, if the PLP wins, this is what happens. If the FNM wins, this is what happens. So we have a history. And, you know, we've been downgraded and downgraded and downgraded. And the FNM are way more fiscally responsible than the PL.
Don't worry, we're gonna be begging for minutes in a couple of months. Begging.
I have a comment to make, please, Ms.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Candace, I weirdly enough brought that up too, and I wondered if it was because Brave got in, because it was a big coincidence that they did it the day after he was sworn in, or if it was run spillage from minutes. My personal opinion was it was because Brave came in, and because of the promises that he made, they're saying that if he actually does these things, the country is going to be worse off. My opinion, as well as it was interesting to me that when he won, they were saying, oh, now the Coke boys get this and the white powder this and everybody getting all. So this is really what his reputation is. So it's really surprising to me, because my opinion was, I feel like we're going to see who the majority is in this country. If it's people who really critically thinks, or people who just
Alicia, we have way more grassroots. We have triple grassroots people than educated persons.
Yes.
You have a average, remember? And so that average.
Did you see the rallies? Y'all took a look at the rallies to see like who is behind these people on these rallies?
Those type people.
Like, it was very evident. Yep.
Yeah. But listen, y'all have to realize Brave is an attorney, a criminal attorney at that. So who he been defending all these years? Criminals, the dope boys and all that. That's where all these comments coming from. These his clients who he been defending all these years. So who is riding with him?
Isn't the FNM a democracy and the PLP is for more like the upper class white people?
Never.
It's like the opposite.
FNM
it's like the
opposite.
Really?
Yeah. That's
why FNM is always more for the people. And
no.
PLP
more for the people. Yeah.
That's why FNM always win these wide areas like Killarney and all that.
And
that's also why they said that
yes.
is on the dollar, because he was more for the poor people.
Oh, okay.
So that's why, but I mean, in PLP may be more for the quote unquote people, but people are not asking for the right things. I'm asking for, if I live in a certain area, I'm hoping doesn't offend anyone. If I'm living in a certain area and I don't have running water in my bathroom, I'm not asking you for a t-shirt and $50. I need you to introduce indoor plumbing to my house.
Correct.
I just had this conversation last night. Let's say I live in Fox Hill, right? I promise my MP, if you promise me a contract, me and my people could vote for you, right? You come into power, you give me a contract. That contract isn't supposed to make sure I am straight. We have to start thinking different now. Time to make sure I have a couple dollars in my pocket to go to Miami. If I get a contract because I live in Fox Hill from my Fox Hill MP, I need to make sure hire people in Fox Hill to clean up Fox Hill.
Correct.
Or if you give me a contract for someplace that's not in Fox Hill, that's fine. But I taking my Fox Hill people with me to make sure I feed them. Our mentality is we want this money. No, I don't want no money. Give me the contract, but there ain't no way in this world. If my Fox Hill MP give me a contract, I should be hiring people in Yellow Welder. No, Because guess what? When it's election time, you know, they can say, you ain't do nothing for me. And the MP can say, what you mean? I give contract where y'all was. No, but the income tax are going to someone else. These MPs need to stop just giving these contracts. Make these people come to the constituency office to make sure they live in your constituency before you give these contracts.
Correct.
That's
But
an issue too, Felicia. That's a big issue.
Issue.
Because a lot of people who were outside of Carmichael came to the constituency office asking for this. Then I ain't voting for y'all because y'all will never do nothing for people. So how are we supposed to?
Exactly.
Carmichael is over 6,000 people. He cannot care for Carmichael and care for the entire country. Go to your MPs, hold them accountable. That's why I was so surprised that Minister Bannister lost, because I know the things that he's done for Carmichael. So I feel like it was a lot of people, because I've seen as well, Keith Bell was giving people money on the line. I ain't asking no one. I saw it myself. So,
and I can guarantee you, since September 17th, them people was lined up by Keith Bell office waiting for that money again. Because when you get people spoiled with money, they expect to get the same money for the next 5 years. So them that $300 you was giving me every 2 weeks, I expect to get that the next 5 years. When you stop that, it's a problem. Because guess what? You tell me this what you used to do for me. You ain't doing it. I'm mad.
That stopped today, though. That stopped yesterday. After the party,
but that's just
after the party is this weekend. That's it.
Yeah, but they ain't tell the people that. They tell the people
that.
Make
But
sure
see,
you straight for 5 years.
You understand that? Like I say again, we dealing with people with a certain mentality, grassroots people who only need to party and drink and have some music, and you win.
Exactly. Listen, I don't care what party in, because I tell you no lie, no government is doing nothing for me. I have to go to work. No one is paying my bills. I don't care who in.
Right.
I don't care who in. I still have to go to work. So I honestly don't care. But just make sure my country as a whole is better. That's all I want.
I agree. And my whole thing with this, to conclude this topic, everybody deserves a chance. He hasn't failed yet. Let's give him the opportunity, and I support all governments. So
it's the
I'm not going to fight for the next 5 years. Oh, sorry, he hasn't failed. He hasn't failed.
Yeah,
I thank you for correcting me before I go in public. Before I go in public saying that. Thank you, ladies. He hasn't failed. He deserves a chance.
Yeah, someone said this. He hasn't held the office as prime minister yet. We know his reputation as DPM and as the minister for Cat Island, but he hasn't done anything, or like we can't hold him or compare him to any standard as the prime minister. Although past behavior is a predictor of present future behavior, but he has not done anything as PM.
And the people say, if Cat you was the deputy prime minister and you couldn't do nothing for Cat Island, what can you do for the whole Bahamas? But again, let's give him the chance, and I hope that Cat Island gets every single thing they needed. If not, that'll be my biggest.
Island one is KFC, so that's all he had to do. Take them KFC.
Okay. Oh my God. Open up a whole shop. Open up a location there and let them people be happy.
But I have one last question. Do y'all really think, let's say this is his last term, which I'm assuming it may be, right? You don't think he can take everything he want to get? And I ain't care about y'all because I ain't coming back to ask y'all to vote me in.
Exactly. He retiring. So y'all really retiring after he's prime minister.
Yeah.
But let's look at Ingram. See, like I said, 5 years, 10 years ago, Ingram, we've been talking about this Aragonite for how many years? And sovereign wealth fund and what have you. So the Holowesco family is collect all the money for the Aragonite on behalf of the Bahamas. Ingram got himself straight, and now he have a badge out there digging up and selling Aragonite. How is it that you get yourself straight? Okay, so now the Ingram family have a small portion, but they collecting money from Aragonite. Then all these big pools, they did a live. Okay, so Ingram made sure he got, you remember for years, Bradley Roberts and who is it? Who they call some boys, Orville Turnquest, and they tried to buy, and Brave was with them. I forget what boys they call them. They tried to buy Batelco, but they didn't have no money. They tried to buy Batelco on credit. And so I think Ingram rolled them out. It's like, y'all don't have no money. Y'all can't buy Batelco. But then he turned around and made sure he got the telecommunications. Batelco was the monopoly for years. He got himself straight whilst he was in power. And then he retired and was like, oh, well, my family straight for years. Ragged Night and telecommunications, two of the major, I guess, ways to make money out of the country, So that's what England did. But I mean, to me, he still did some stuff for the people, but not on that level. So
that's my thing.
but Brave will follow suit. I'm certain about that. I mean, for the most part, he straight, but like you say, he could do whatever he needed to do, and then he could say hasta la vista. But I even feel, I mean, if we watch this election, 3% of the vote was in, 5% of the votes, some constituencies wasn't in at all. How can you concede 2 hours after, less than 2 hours after the polls closed? The last set of polls closed at 7:30. Before 9 o'clock, minutes conceded.
Because minutes was tired. I tired y'all.
And first of all, you call an election 9 months early. And then 10% of the vote is counted and you concede. I mean, it made sense in the end, but I was kind of confused. I was like, what you doing? I just started my tally sheet. What you doing? And I was like, because my daughter was like, you concede. I was like, what? We couldn't concede.
The news outlets may not have had the votes, right? But for example, us who were in the polling stations, we knew who won. We knew who won those polling stations. You won 11 or 12 of the polling stations.
You win that.
You win. So we knew the results, although the general public may not have known. We knew. So I'm assuming that's
the news. I was switching from channel to channel. They were awful then because they were saying 5% of the vote, 3% of the vote. I was like 10% of the vote, and you can. I was confused. Okay, so well, yeah. Anyway, like I say, everybody deserves a chance. That's the people's choice. So let's not be in a fight. Let's support the PLP for the next 5 years and pray that they do well. And like you said, perhaps I do agree that his political promises may have caused us the down rating, because how else does the country make money? Taxes, right? And the IMF has been after us for years now, saying that we don't have a proper tax structure. We need a corporate tax. We need this. In the Caribbean, we have the lowest tax rate. I was told by 2024 that has to increase, and that's from the international regulators. We have no choice or we will be blacklisted. The country is in a major deficit. They negotiated those loans based on VAT increasing, and the current VAT, the estimate from, we've been very good at collecting VAT, and the billions of dollars that they've collected so far, they pledged that against the loans that we got. How now can you say I get decrease VAT when you're being pushed to increase it? And the only way he can do that is if he does indeed fulfill this promise, that he drops it to 10% in the next year or two, or I don't know how long he can stagger that for, but it's going to cost us 3 times as much. If he indeed does that.
Because a lot of people are still not paying property tax.
Yeah, but nobody
I
ever
don't
pays
understand
that.
how they could decrease VAT. I don't understand it. I want to see VAT
going
up. It don't make sense.
The government is just very,
but
they're very bad at collecting the property tax.
Yeah,
they're very bad
collecting it. And you're still taxing the low income, the people who make no money, who are making minimum wage, and minimum wage is so low.
Right. They just bad at collecting
it. But how much property tax is actually contributing to revenue? That's like a small percentage. The issue, what I think it is, right? I just had this conversation with someone yesterday. She told me, I'm an F&M and I get always 10 minutes. But I said at the end of the day, he did these things for a reason, and we don't know the international implications of why he raised taxes. If Brave decreased the taxes, it's going to be a problem internationally. I said, we were called a tax haven, we were blacklisted, and I feel like the issue is a lot of people don't know these things. Like for me, I went to COB, but these things were not discussed in depth, like how I learned like that there are regulators internationally who are holding us accountable, and I learned that in this class.
Yeah, but
So
people
I
don't know a
do
lot of
feel like
things and they just talk and assume.
exactly.
And this is why
Exactly.
people think that Bahamians are ignorant, because the things that we actually say and the things that we support is just stupid.
Correct.
I
Hey, thank
completely
you for being
agree.
so frank.
I'm sorry, class, but like on a whole, we have so much potential as a people, Bahamian people, but the world can't take us seriously because we don't take ourselves seriously.
Correct.
The things we believe, not only do we support it, but we actually repeat. It's one thing for me to sit and have a conversation with you and tell you, okay, I understand. But to leave this conversation to go to someone else and repeat it and actually believe myself, that's the problem. Because we don't research. So whatever someone tells us, if it makes sense, that's what we're running with. That person could be dumb and don't know what they're talking about.
Girl,
but
and
because
I
it makes
always
sense
vow
to
with
me,
my mommy
I run
about
in.
that. Always
Okay,
think
then.
she knows something. Someone always telling us something. I'm
Okay,
like,
then.
oh my God.
Okay.
Yes, so research, ladies, very good, is important because the thing about it, like I said, whenever you read an article, even in the newspaper, I see a pause sometimes and I have to go and research who is the author. And then I'd be like, okay, this either how this person grow up, this is one of the cliques they in, this is why they are so biased, this is what the truth is. So you really have to know who you're getting information from and validate it and ensure that it's fact checked. And one thing that I love about America, you can't stand on no podium and talk mess because immediately they fact check everything and call out all your lies and all your foolishness. And I really wish, and that's what this country needs, to hold the government more accountable. And like we just talking casually all the promises. Did anybody write them down? Is anybody gonna follow through? We need lobbyists, okay? And most lobbyists in the United States and in the UK, they work for free, but they do have some lobbyists that get paid up to $50,000, $60,000. And so that's really what we need. People who are going to document, you said this on this date, and this is the clip. We bring this to fruition, show us where you did this, and let's hold you accountable. Okay, because they say anything that sounds good and can sway the people, just like how when they said that all the unions had signed an agreement with the PLP, and the next day they came out and said it was a lie. Okay, are we going to follow through to make sure that he's held accountable? No, the people vote him in. That's a big lie he told, to get some votes. And the people who didn't listen to the news the day after went to the post saying, even he done speak with the union and the union get our back, right? And so we have to make sure because the union's on his side. So some of you, please, we need future leaders. I was very, very pleased to see just 2 semesters ago, one of the posters held one of our, she is now in, I think she just completed ICA, and her picture was up there and she was saying she was supporting one of the smaller groups, but I was indeed proud to see her out there. And I said, I sent her an email and I said, way to go. This is a good start to get your name out there. And hopefully, she will either stay with this group and help build them up in a few years or join one of the larger groups. But I was very, very pleased to see somebody who started right here in intro with us running for one of the seats. Okay, so the world is ours. Definitely, we're all about building and supporting future leaders, and our country needs you. And so please don't let it stop here. You ladies seem to all be on the right track. You have the awareness. You're definitely very smart and dedicated, because this is a Saturday morning. We could have stayed out all night and party, or we could be in the shops this morning, but you are here making an investment in yourself. So ladies, please network. Like I say, build your team, and it don't have to be friends that you hang out with on the weekend, but like-minded people. And we have, how many here? We have 10 like-minded people right here who seem to be interested, who are concerned about making a difference. So please, spend some time with each other, network, continue on your journey. And I know 100% that you can be successful. And I hope to see more of your faces out on those posters in these elections or at any groups. one of the things that we could most notably be proud of is the 5 ladies who won their seats on the PLP side. Now, I don't, one of them is my representative, and I met her and I was not impressed at all. But the mere fact that, I will still congratulate her that she won, and I'm proud that, I see so many women in the forefront. Okay, so if you are interested, our country needs future leaders. And I always say every great leader has three strong persons behind them to make them successful. And so start to build your team around you, because you will need that support. So somebody will be a good speaker and they like the limelight. I don't like the limelight, so I never want to be up on a podium, making these promises. But I definitely could be behind the scenes, giving the support, being a part of the lobbyist group, making sure that we hold these people feet to the fire. Okay, so think about it, and when you do your 5-year plan or your career development, see if that would be of interest to you, because our country definitely needs some ethical persons who get in position and will not just to benefit them or get what they can get and leave the country behind. Okay, so very good, ladies.
Serious or?
Well, Candace, would you say if I serious? Candace, or Candace, you was talking to somebody else. Candace, go on. Hello, y'all can hear me?
She asked in the chat, who is your rep?
Child, Joe Beck Colby Davis.
What? You ain't impressed with her?
Not at all. Not at all. She came to my house and I didn't know her, and I gave her the opportunity to speak. I was very, very disappointed.
One of my friends swear by her.
No. She came and she asked me what was my view, right? And I said, given the circumstances, I felt like Minister did a okay job, because of Dorian and because of the pandemic. And she said, what? You think he do a good job? He can't, all these people sick and he can't.
No, that shouldn't have been her response. That shouldn't have been her response.
Yeah, she talked over me and she said, you think he did a good job? He can't, the FNM has can't, the PLP put NHI in place. All these sick people and the people can't even go to the hospital. I said, NHI is in place. I said, I just signed my kids up to go to BTVI and they were able to get free annuals under NHI. I said everywhere else I called was charging me $130, and I had 2 daughters, and I was like, Jesus, $260 just for the annual. And BTVI had offered $25 registration. So I told my daughters, they one in grade 11 and one in grade 12. I said, go and learn a trade. So we signed them up, and when I called the NHI people, they say, oh, you can get a free annual and the form could be completed. You don't have to pay the $130. So I had just done that like 2 or 3 weeks before she came. And I said, NHI is not canceled. I just took advantage of it and it worked. She said, no, they cancel it. I can tell you. They roll back all the services that we put in place. I said, well, I needed annuals for medical forms for BTVI, and my daughters were able to go for free and get those. And I saved $260. She was like, see, y'all don't have the details. They have y'all fooled. And she just went off on a tangent.
Yeah, no, she wrong. As an incoming quote unquote someone running, you shouldn't talk. That's like going to a doctor and they talking ill about another physician. You don't do that.
Yes.
If you don't agree, say, well, I wouldn't have done this, but don't say, oh, they don't know. You don't do that.
But I said, ma'am, that is incorrect. I said, that is incorrect. That is not true. And then where's the people, PLP getting all this money from? Okay, she is the lawyer for Oban, for the oil drilling people. And so this is, to me, they funded the entire campaign. All them signs, you and the government, where you get all this money to buy all these signs, these stuff, feed all these people, give all this money. So you all be prepared for the oil drilling thing. Fred is something for them, and she is their legal person. So they supporting that agenda. They have to, whatever those oil drillers want, they have to put that in place now. To me, that's where they get the majority of their money from. But I wasn't that one thing turned me off from her completely. So I was like, anyway, ma'am, okay, thank you very much. Because she said, also, now you want me to leave? I said, I guess you are saying something that's false. And I said, this isn't a great first impression. Well, if you want to throw your vote away, then throw it away.
Oh, no.
I said, okay, ma'am. I said, you have a nice day.
But that's Bahamians, though. We know how to talk to people. We get too comfortable. We lack professionalism. We lack customer service. And
but you coming to say you're supposed to be the person to make the change. You're supposed to be the person who I come to be my voice. But you don't know. You have no clue.
She ain't professional at all.
Not at all. I said, ma'am, you don't even know me. This is a very bad first impression, and you come to my house with a false. I said,
even if she disagreed with you, she should have just listened and say, I hear you, I understand where you're coming from, to at least acknowledge what you're saying, and not not make you feel diminished.
Yeah, terrible. And she's throughout the conversation I kept saying, but ma'am, you've asked me my view. Do you really want my view? Are you concerned about my view? But she just was loud. So I just dismissed her. But in the last election, 2 days before the election, Dwayne Sands came to my house. I let him come inside. I had some banana bread. He asked me for a piece of my banana bread. I had some friends over, and he said, y'all vote for me, give me a chance, I can make a difference, blah, 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 whatever. I say, okay, Mr. Sands. You could have my vote. I support the F&M. Let's see what happens. Okay, they landslide win. Mr. Sands was the Minister of Health. I had a cell number in my phone. My first profession is I'm a licensed mortician. So when Dorian happened, my contacts in the United States called. They wanted to provide a mortuary program, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, this is my representative. He's the Minister of Health. He'll at least give us an audience. Do you know, I sent Mr. Sands more than 50 texts. And that man, I call you right back. I tell funeral. I call you right back. I can call you right back. I can do this. I can call you right back. I can do that. Come to my office. Wasn't there. He ran me in a circle. Tell the people that flew in from South Carolina, and they stayed there for 2 weeks. And over that 2 weeks,
I hope you remind him about this.
No, when they come this time, I say, dude, come in my yard, sir. Dude. And so his office keep calling me. They say, how many votes you have? I say, I have 6. I say, and then my tenants, they are young, they're gonna do whatever I say. So in total, I have 10. And so they say, oh no, he needs to make amends with you. And so he sent me a text and I respond just like how he didn't respond and turn me in the circle. Then she said, oh, we want to have an audience with you. I said, I've been to that office twice with meetings that I had scheduled and he wasn't there. I said, I waited an hour before. I do not appreciate that. I say, I don't expect none from my MP and I don't want none from him. But the mere fact that you could find my house and give me a cell number when you want my help and I can't even have an audience with you in 5 years? Oh, no, he come in to see me, this and that. He can make amends. Man, they called me like 10 times. I said, nope. Goodbye, nope. And the thing about it is, he's need every vote in Elizabeth because he normally has been like 1 or 2. He isn't very popular. So I was kind of saying, I said, you know what, this Joe Bad girl, she could win because, you know, Elizabeth is like a grassroots area too. So, you know, I didn't have much faith in him winning anyway, but I say he get a D rating. He's very good with the media and a lot of people like him, but he's just a talker. So I was really split down the middle and I was saying, well, no, I don't support Brave, but I would support Chester Cooper. I would support Fred Mitchell. I would support Glennis, and then Shannon Dorr from St. Barnabas, and Desmond Bannister, and a few of them. So I was saying, you know,
that's what I would want, a more balanced house. But we wanted, so now I gotta support their government. So I could be up in arms, but I don't see no difference between the two. So I can just lay low for the next 5 years. And I used to be in Foxville, but they moved me to Elizabeth. So what could I do? But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but a lot of young people support her, and they like her, but I wasn't impressed.
I feel so sad that y'all didn't have a good MP like my MP, my former MP, I should say.
Yeah. A lot of people like Keith though. Keith is very personable. He been lecturing at UB. I think
he tried to appeal to me when I was on the line. They asked him sure I am. He was like, "Oh, man, what you saying? What you do? You sound like you was a teacher. You speak so well." And then he asked me if I'm in school. I said, "Yes, I'm in UB. What are you studying? Accounting." "Oh, my niece is an accountant and she's make all kind of money. You gonna be straight, man." Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. But if I came out here on this line, because this was the advanced poll, if I came out here on this line in this big F&M shirt, you really think I'm going to change my vote right now?
Yeah, but I guess he still tried anyway. And that the part of Brave's first speech, he said that and all the people that are in doubt, I'm going to work my hardest, and prime ministers are all. So I said, okay, that was a fair statement, and I like that he was in Freeport, I think, and he flew to Cat Island, and so I think they really deserve that. So so far so good, and like everybody is happy with this curfew, and I was listening to Clint last night where they said, even though the curfew is 12 o'clock, the police cannot stop you after 12. There are no fines, and they can't ask you where you coming from or where you going. Did y'all hear that part?
Yes, I heard that. So
yeah, I heard that
means it's no curfew.
So is there really truly a curfew?
Clearly, it sounds like there isn't, but I heard that part.
Okay, so internationally,
repeat that, please. What part?
The curfew is at 11:59. However, if you are on the road after 12, the police cannot stop you. They cannot issue any fines, and they cannot ask you where you going or coming from after 12.
Why?
That's how he wrote it. Now, again, he probably, remember now we're being internationally watched, and Menace got a lot of accolades for the way he ran the country during the pandemic. So in the Caribbean, he got some recognition to say, out of all the Caribbean countries, his country is the best and has the lowest rates and whatever because of his decisions. And so if you already have that accolade and you are a new government, you don't want to lose that. So you make it appear as if I still maintaining a standard. Yeah, I only increased the
he's
by 3 hours. But if you want to read the fine print,
the one thing I didn't agree with though was the way that they handled the man who was selling his coconut water on the side.
Yeah,
I didn't like that. That was fair. That was handled. That was not handled.
Yes.
Right. But they redeemed themselves, eh?
He did make some mistakes. Menace, I feel like Menace had the potential. He had the potential to be a good leader, but sometimes his mouth just to get him in trouble. I can understand you're frustrated, but sometimes just hold off on what you have to say because you are.
No, but what he did to the coconut guys, he told them they just need to go get a health certificate, and I agree.
No, they got arrested and fined.
They got
$700 first.
The police
if they didn't have the license.
Right. So then the public outcry caused them to step in and say, okay, we are going to assist you with getting the license. But no, the first guy got fined $700, and I think the Candy Gibson phone person paid that, and then another guy got arrested and fined, and somebody else paid that, and then because of the public outcry, then they stepped in and assisted. Like, these are persons who just trying to make a living, so don't lock them up and throw them back 10 more years.
I agree with the arrest and fine though, but not that amount. I felt like it should have been maybe like a $25 fine.
Yeah, not $700.
You're saying that we do not condone this, but how the devil are you supposed to find $700 on the road?
Yeah.
If
You know,
you
And
find
that's the
me
way you pay your bills.
$25,
The coconut is the way you paying your bills. Like
exactly. I think
Like,
a little
the
$25 fine
lockdowns
would have
was
been
it was a
sufficient.
bit much. People was really hurting during that time. That's
Yeah.
why I felt like the lockdowns was a bit much, especially for people who they fund their own lifestyle and they have to make money. They have to hustle to make money.
Yeah, but see, basically, we don't, okay, because we can't compare ourselves to America. We have one hospital.
I
We have a
know.
limited number of staff. So I guess our laws had to be way more stringent than, what we were seeing in America. And then we saw the totals when we let these people just run loose. Did you see 100,000 people in America one day catch COVID in Georgia? I mean, because I went to school in Atlanta and I always pay attention to the Georgia news. I mean, like 4 counties had over 5,000 cases in a day.
Atlanta wasn't wearing no mask at all. They was
Right,
Yeah, I was
so-
about to say Atlanta was lit during the
Atlanta was
Yes.
running wild.
Yes. Yeah, they was running wild. And so I imagine they only saw that and said, listen, this can't be up 100,000 people. This can't happen to us. This can't happen
Yeah,
to
but
us.
whistling too, another thing, you saying that people hustling and doing these things, if they did the proper procedure, which is have a business license, they implemented where they gave small businesses money. My boyfriend is a small business owner.
After the fact. Remember, we've been on lockdown for almost 2 years. Remember now, when this first happened.
Alicia,
Yeah, but
Everything was rushed in the beginning, which
No,
I
but-
understood, but they didn't take into consideration everyone who would be affected. So they could have planned it a lot better than they did. That's all I say.
The world couldn't plan. I did my business research paper on the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses. The world couldn't plan. Literally, when COVID started to come out over everywhere else, everything honestly just shut down. We had to act quickly. And because you don't know what this is, you comparing it to SARS and all these other crazy things, you had to shut it down because the of life. We cannot have our healthcare system collapse because PMH already holding on by a little shred. And I worked to at least I used to work to PMH for 8 years. That's a mess. A&E is a mess. Our staff are overworked and underpaid, and they can get frustrated to imagine a whole pandemic happening. So they had to do it quickly. And it was a mess because we didn't know what we was dealing with. But then when we started to get our foot in, things started to make more sense.
Okay, and Alicia, in terms of the business license process, people actually pay me to get their business license for them. I do that as like a little side hustle that I have. And I am stressed out over the process, okay? And through this, I had a conversation with, I have all the heads of finance number in my phone where I've been down there so many times. And I said, listen, y'all should be in Rawson Square handing out business licenses left, right, and center. I said, you all saying it easy to do business and you all have this consolidated form. This still makes no sense. Okay, so I've been in Marlon Johnson's place 100 times. I say, sir, the average for this is a process for me, educated, who've done this 100 times. The average person, if they don't pay somebody to do this, they cannot do this.
You're right, Miss Bullock, because I tried it and it made no sense. I had to pay someone to do it for me.
Right.
The website literally makes no sense.
Yeah,
They
that's
could find it for any stupid thing.
Right. So, and then you have to go. You still have to go to 10 different places and get approval and get approval and that approval and do foolishness. And so I say, sir, open up downtown, accessible by bus. That's the first thing. Hand these people who have a D average, these business licenses and these permits, and make yourself available to them so they can, they can have these easily available to them, because it's a crazy process. It is crazy. So yeah, that's my 5 cents. So yes, Alicia, it is. It's available, and the small business, like I say, I was approved by the Small Business Development Center, and so it works. Again, it's a process. People are paying me, Ms. Bullet. I can pay you $300 to do this for me. And so for the people who just starting up and can't afford it, so many people I just say, listen, that's okay. I'll just help you out. Don't worry about the fee. Let me just get you straight. You know what I mean? So It's crazy. So I have had to have a contact at NIB, at environmental health, at the business license place. Where else you have to go? At Ministry of Fisheries, all over. I have a contact each place. And you know what that mean, right? I can't say. You want to know what that means.
You got to tip every place.
Oh, everyone. I just walk around with $200 for the 20s. Okay? if I want my stuff done.
I hate
Or
that.
I'd be frustrated and I go through the motion and it's crazy. So people like I say, every time I go to them, I say the average person who need this, you know what I mean? Who the inspectors out on the street, you know, writing them up and whatever because they ain't renew their garbage, this or this and that. I said, y'all need to stop. Make this available to the people. They have to make a smoother process that is more understandable because the average person cannot do it. But anyway, that's my advice. And so we have a long way to go. So Alicia, I behind you 100%. You in 5 years, you have this business, you'll be in government, you have this business license thing.
Yeah, this is honestly, I could say, being on this campaign trail, it gave me just a little bit of interest in politics, a teeny bit. But I see how ungrateful human people are, so that kind of was against it. But it's interesting for sure. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So they are ungrateful, and so you have to find what should I say, something within that will motivate you because it will never come from them. It will tear you down, and like you say, the ungratefulness will probably make you want to give up. You know, but definitely before you lead, you must serve. So these years of service because my son too, as well, he is in UB and he got all excited about this and the campaign trail and he is doing tourism as well and he hopes one day to be minister of tourism. He was telling me last night and I said, well, sir, this is your years to serve. And he was like, so where do I think, you know, he should start? I say, guess where I want him to start? I want him to actually start with Bishop Lawrence World and what's the other feeding ministry of Walter Hanchel. I say now Mr. Hanchel is sick, but these men made something out of nothing. You know, they are not rich. They want to do service to the community. I say that's who I would go for. I say, so don't go to them looking to be educated. Don't go there looking, you know, to speak eloquently or learn about a book. But they made something out of nothing. Okay, and so if you want to learn community service, that's where to go. And he's like, Mommy, you serious? That I said, yep, dead serious. So this years of service. If you want to be effective in the next 10 years, serve, and then you'll be an excellent leader. That's just my advice.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So very good, ladies. Very, very good. That you are aware and involved and have the right frame of mind. All of you seem to be like-minded to make our country a better place. So excellent. So let's get on to STRs before the rest of the people who are in this conversation take a bullet now. You just say you're going south and you go on east, west, north, and south. But thank you all for the conversation. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so STRs. Anybody read what chapter is it now? Chapter 8?
Yes, chapter 8. Ms. Bullet, I have a quick question. The financial intelligence student, do we have any over here?
Yes, the FIU. It's in Norfolk House, you know where Fidelity is on Frederick Street.
Yeah, the building of the office, Auditor General office.
It's a green building across from Fidelity.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, that's where
that's where it is.
Yeah, the FIU is a house up on the 3rd or 4th floor. And so, of course, our mandatory question is going to be on the Egmont Group. So, of course, our FIU, the Egmont Group is all the FIUs around the world who come together and they share information. And so, of course, our FIU is a part of the Egmont Group and they share information, you know, on like cases. And so, you know, these are the results and this is how we investigate and what have you. And so there's a director, there's an act for the FIU that gives the director certain powers. They told me once that the process is that, the compliance officer once approved by, or the MLRO once approved by their regulator, which Securities Commission, Compliance Commission, Gaming Board, or what have you, you then send a letter to the FIU with that approval saying that I've now been approved by the central bank or my regulator, and they register you as the as the MLRO for that institution, and they expect to receive suspicious transaction reports. They expect to address production orders to you as well as the CEO, or any type of correspondence. They expect you to be their liaison person. And so now they have their own website where they upload and they keep everything, and it's much more organized than the paper trail and what have you. And so that one time Central Bank came in and they were doing an audit, and they asked me, where is your registration letter from the FIU? And I was like, oh, it should be with the HR. And they say, we need to see a copy. And HR didn't have it. And so they said, okay, we're going to give you an audit note. I said, no. I walked down to the FIU because I was working in the office. I walked and I said, Bob, please, I need a copy of this. And so I got it. So I did not get that audit note. So make sure that, when you become the MLRO, don't take it for granted that you have to register with the FIU, and keep that letter of acceptance that they are aware, that they register you, and they are going to call you separately, and they are going to, just like the regulator, they want a separate email address outside of the bank's email. They want to have directions to your house, and they want a separate, they say, because I had the bank cell phone, they say, no, we don't want the bank cell phone. We want a private cell phone number and your house number, if you have a house number on file, because they want to be completely confidential outside of the institution. A lot of times the institution. Okay, so just make sure you have that information on file. Okay, and so just before we excuse me, get into talking about SDRs and understanding, in ICA, one of the questions was, how is an unusual or a suspicious transaction established? And what would make you file an SDR? And I thought that was a very good question. However, I was very surprised that the persons in my ICA class simply did not know. They said, how are we to write 3,500 words on this? And so I said, some of you, they may have skipped intro and intermediate because they had a first degree, but they had a first degree in finance. They'd never done compliance or AML. So, we do encourage persons, if they have a first degree, we do let them perhaps go into intermediate, but they sometimes fall behind or would have missed a lot of information if they went straight into ICA. And hence, this is why how these classes were born, because ICA is like $6,000. And so you don't want to spend $6,000 and then find out you don't even know the basics, right? And so how do you answer this question? How is suspicious an unusual transaction or something suspicious even established? Again, when persons come into the bank and they open up accounts, all these forms, why are we filling out these forms? Why are we identifying? Why are we record keeping? Why are we monitoring? Right? And so what we're doing is, when persons open an account, they are establishing a profile, right? And anything outside of that profile becomes suspicious or anything unusual, we need to investigate. So again, I always use the Edison Sumner case. He came into the bank, he opened an account. He said, this account is for investments. He established a profile and said, all the money deposited to these accounts are going to come from our customers. So you should expect to see miscellaneous, you should expect to see Felicia, they are coming in, they're going to deposit $100,000 each. We are going to combine this money and we're going to invest in cryptocurrency, right? So here is the profile established. We expect 300,000 this month. We expect 3 deposits. We expect this money to be invested. Profile is established. So the money is in the bank. The profile has been established, and a wire request comes in and says, send this money to this cryptocurrency exchange. We check the signatures. We send the money to the cryptocurrency exchange. They are operating within their profile. Very good, Mr. Sumner. Summer is about to approach. A wire request comes in. What we normally do is just edit. That's Edison Sumner. That's the second signature that match. Process it. We don't read where it's going to. So that's exactly what happened. These wires were processed. When we look, one went for BMW to Auto Mall. Next one went to John Bull for a Rolex watch. Next one went to Going Places, $3,000 for tickets to Orlando in a hotel. What just happened, Felicia?
I got my ASU draw.
Okay, so if Mr. Sumner came in and said, I just get an ASU, deposit this to this cryptocurrency account, what would you say?
Yeah, then of course, well, if you had an ASU, you would want research and all that. But in any event, that was not in the profile that you was bringing money from there to here.
So can you add this ASU money to the people? Again, this for investments. This not this
Right,
ASU
so
money to this account. What do you do?
No, you can't. Well, that was for investments. Your ASU, I'd assume, is for your personal savings. So you can't just consolidate these. You need to now go and put that on a personal savings. If you want to open a personal savings with us, you could go ahead and do that. But everything has to line up with the profile itself. The profile and the application has to line up.
Okay, very good, very good. So how did you approve this transfer to John Bull Whistling for this Rolex watch? Use the account officer. How you process this wire? How you approve this for the wiring department to process?
I already approve it.
Yeah, the wire comes into your email because you are the account relationship manager, right? It says debit this account, this business account, and send $5,000 to John Bull for a Rolex watch. And you process it. Does the signatures match?
The signatures match, but then that's not the purpose of the account. If it was for investments, then we were using people's money to buy a Rolex watch. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, so what do you do?
In that case, then you file an SCR.
Okay.
I have a question, please. What if he's buying the Rolex as a gift to a client?
And it seems
for
like bribery.
investment? Okay.
You
Yeah.
are to ask.
But a lot of account offices as well don't monitor these accounts correctly because they feel as if, okay, I know the signature, I know his email address. I call him back, I know it's him. He tell me send it as his money. So they feel as if it's all about just making sure that it's the person. No, that is one thing, yes. But you have to make sure these things add up. Don't just say, oh yeah, I know that was Mr. Bo. I called Mr. Bo. He told me to send it. That's why I sent it. No, Mr. Bo never said this what this account was for.
Right. And Alicia, each company has a gift policy or should have a gift policy. And so fine, this is the company's account. You are to ask, because remember now, there's a reasonableness test that you do when or over these transfers. You said, sir, okay, so you want to use the company's money that you said is for investments to purchase a Rolex watch for the customer. What is your policy on gifts? And normally it'll say you can receive $100 from a customer, or a customer, you can spend up to $100 on a customer, And so your company should have an operating account. Again, it should not be coming from this account that says specifically for investments to clients, because this client's money. The company should have a separate account operating where you would pay for a gift for a client. Okay, so you have to make sure in the documentation process, and this is a major problem at account opening where people don't get proper information, or they don't completely fill it out, or they use one-liners, investments. No, when I come back to find out investments, suppose this was investments into Rolex watches. This could be any type of investment. So then you dig a little further, you ask, what type of investments? What countries do you deal with? And then you document this, and this is how you. A lot of accounts,
people
you know, we always.
A lot of people scared to ask questions because they feel as if they don't want to ruffle any feathers. But hey, you want a bank account with me? I come to you, you come to me to open this account, and I need this information. They feel as if, you know, especially in these offshore banks, when you're dealing with these rich people, oh no, I can't ask him this, I can't ask him that. I am compliant, and listen to me. If I tell you I want a police certificate and you slap up, then guess what? I block in your account. Why you can't give me a police certificate? You ain't doing me no favor. I doing my job. Give me a police certificate. Oh, because of COVID. Oh, so the police station's closed. That's what you're telling me? Okay.
Right. So nowhere in the world you can go and open an account and not be required. They may ask you less questions. However, when you ask or you want to offer the ease of doing business in another area. But when it comes to knowing your client, you will need as much information as possible. And I'm telling you, these things come back to haunt you when you have one-liners, when you're trying to figure out, should this person be processing this entry or not? Should I be approving this? Okay. And this is why they have expanded that relationship managers and account officers go to jail. Simply because when they pull files, no information. You couldn't ask the question, how do you know this customer? Knowing this customer means I know what areas of the world they invest in. I know what type of investments they have. You know, I know that this money should not be coming from the customer's account, okay, or from the company's customer account. The company should have a separate operating account if they want to buy the customer a gift. If the company buying their CEO of a Mercedes Benz, okay. But like I say, our laws were just updated in 2018. This is only 2021. People are just being trained. And a lot of persons don't even believe they have to do all this work. A lot of persons be like, Ms. Bullet, you require too much. But you require too much until the day when a problem occurs. Tell the SPR has to be filed, and you open up the file and there's limited
Exactly.
Okay.
And when the SCR file and they come to do the investigation, what they ask you for, show me the proof that you asked for this.
Correct.
That's what they ask you. Let me see where you asked. So if I ask you for something and you don't give it to me, that's fine with me, you know. But when they come and they check my email, they can see, well, I did my job. I asked for it and you didn't provide it to me. So I clear myself. It's all on you now.
Correct. Okay, so now let's talk about switching from, we understand this is how an unusual a transaction or a suspicious transaction is generated. It's outside of the customer's profile. So now let's talk about monitoring. And I think I asked this question before. Y'all could correct me if I didn't. What systems do your company have in place to support you in terms of monitoring? Do you know how the system works? Do you know if there are any gaps? Do you know if you have to do anything manually? Okay. Do you know if at onset, at account opening, we do a word check? But today, Ms. Bullet is law abiding. Tomorrow, it's a pandemic. I have to feed my family. I go out and do a drug deal. Is your system scanning my name every night to alert you in the morning, spit out a report at the end of the week to say, yeah, Miss Bullet opened this account. By the end of the year, she was in jail. Do you have does your system do that, Candace? Do you know? Candace, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's done on a continuous basis. I know it's done in the beginning. I know it's done in the beginning. I'm just not sure how much they do it, or for high risk clients, how much they do it. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out.
Okay, so how do you
It's
know
gonna come up.
exactly? How do you know what you need to do manually? Okay, so you have to go back to your institution and find out what the system does, what are the capabilities, and if there are any gaps, I need to find a workaround for the gap because I have to protect myself. It can't be that at account opening and at review, if Mr. This money laundered and got away with it for 3 years before you all found out and did the second world check, correct?
Yeah, it could be.
Right, could be. Okay, so that's too long. Okay, Felicia, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Philip, I always hear you talking about running these systems in the evening. I honestly have to look into that because I don't know about that. But I had a world check because world check, they upgraded now. And so we had a training last week and they now actually offer the feature whereas you once you search a name and you, I guess, click whatever the box is, I can't remember what it is, it will automatically send you an alert if anything pops up in world check on that person. So let's say I run my name today and nothing is there. Once I put that feature on, if something pops up on me in 2 weeks, 2 years, it'll automatically send me an email to let me know that name that you searched, something is now here for that person.
Okay, well, that's excellent now that WorldCheck has that added feature. WorldCheck has a lot of features, but it's just each thing has a cost. And the company does not always want to bear the cost. So you may have just the front end of the system and it has a lot of capabilities, but your office is not paying for it. And this is why you need to identify the gaps to see if there's some technological advancement out there so you don't have to do it manually. So you can protect yourself. Okay, so you have to know what's missing so you can push for them to pay for it, or you have to do it manually. But not knowing is not acceptable because you have to protect yourself. Okay, Diane.
Good morning, Miss Bullard. Good morning, ladies. Miss Bullard, I just had a question. I know that or anything that might come up when someone reports it to you as the MLRO, you're responsible for filing an SDR. But is there any requirements for reporting if there hasn't been any suspicious activity? Is there a monthly requirement or anything like that? Or is it that you only file when you suspect something?
Yes, you only file when you suspect. And what should happen is that we are going to look at the suspicious transaction form in a moment. The law says anybody can file a suspicious transaction form. However, each company has its own individual policy and they want it trickled up through the MLRO. We have had instances where people feel that, or this MLRO friend, or this Shane Gibson, so they can report it, and persons have stepped out of line and reported on themselves, and they have gotten fired in some cases. If you work in an institution where you feel that you would have reported somebody and it's because it's friends, family, or lovers, and they report, then you need to leave that institution. If you worked in an institution and you, like in my next class, this guy, I think he's at Commonwealth Bank, and he said he has a problem with the what is it? These people downstairs who work downtown, and he said he sure they money laundering. And he want the FIU to investigate them. So he wasn't filling out the STR on behalf of Commonwealth Bank. He was filling it out privately to say, I want y'all to do investigate. They're not Asian. What country is that? Like Middle Eastern people downtown who was but let them spray something on your hand. They had like 5 locations. Yeah, so he wanted an investigation done on that. So what you should do is you have an internal form that you send out to your staff. Once your staff sees a suspicious transaction, they should not fail to disclose, because that was another problem where they had to up the penalty because persons used to say, it's below my pay grade, or in my business, or I'm not going to court or whatever. So they were failing to disclose. So you had that problem as well. So once you as the MLRO, you are to investigate because you are privy to a lot more information than the people on the front line. So you do an investigation and then you decide if you indeed need to go any further. You see what I mean? And
Okay.
so there are
Okay.
sometimes I've decided that no, I didn't need to go any further, and things came up 2 years later, and it's a good thing I still had it on file. But you do an investigation and you make a determination. I did not file because of A, B, or C. Or some people just file every day. You know, it really depends. But you do an investigation.
And I asked that question, Ms. Bullard, because I'm registered with the FIU as the MLRO for my company, and so I get communications from them. And I received a communication recently that said that we're no longer to file nil reports with the FIU. We're just to forward those to our regulator. So I didn't fully comprehend what they meant by a nil report.
Okay, so the FIU had complained that they haven't received a lot of, we are not filing suspicious transaction reports. So our rebuttal was that because we have a strong identification process and we do background checks, and our system check these names every night. And so we know automatically if you know, something is suspicious. So our response also was that I might have filed like 100 STRs over the years and they never responded. Like they don't ever say nothing. But in these last years, since they have a new director now, the FIU, they're taking it more seriously. And like I say, it's more of a hands-on approach because we're being internationally watched. They now respond, they are responding and following up, and now they have an automated system that gives you a report. So because the system is automated now, I imagine that's why you don't have to at the end of the year say, no, I don't have any STRs to report, because everything is in the system now.
Okay.
Yeah. But nobody ever did that anyway, to tell you the truth, Diana, because I never did it.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I was just making sure because I was like, if we haven't come across any, I don't see the need to even
Right. So they
let a
automated now.
regulator know there wasn't any reports. Right.
Yeah, but
Yes,
they're
it's
automated.
called Case Connect.
Right.
Yeah, Case Connect.
Right. But they have asked me to, you know, I have had to do reporting to the central bank as well as the Securities Commission, and each quarter, you know, you file the form 1 and 2 for the sanctions. They have asked me to copy them in on that. When I send my sanctions report quarterly to the Securities Commission, they want a copy of that. Have they asked you for that as well?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a bit different because we're insurance. So they haven't approached us about the sanctions part of it yet. You know, they just really wanted us to just start doing KYC and CDD because we hadn't originally been doing it for general insurance.
Okay, so I guess it's gonna come later on. They're gonna request, because you do get the sanctions names, right? Like when the list
Yes,
are
we
updated,
do.
right? And so who do you respond to? The insurance commission, you confirm that you have nobody on your books with these names, right?
Yeah, we respond to the insurance commission.
Right. So I only used to respond to the Securities Commission and the FIU. When I went there for a training, they said, oh, Ms. Bullitt, we realized that we're not getting your sanction screenings. I said, are you supposed to? They said, yeah, we are. And if you go in the Case Connect, they have notices there. So spend some time and look at the notices and you'll see where they make that request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you're welcome. So we understand what the MLRO must do. Not when you receive the STR internally, you automatically send an STR to the FIU. So you have to investigate. You have to make it make sense. You have to ensure that you have sufficient information. Or you could just be careful. Like, we don't send in STRs. We just report every day. But you don't want to do that. You want to use your judgment, or you want to keep it on file, because you never know. And when you pull that file, you want to ensure that it has sufficient and proper information. And so if it doesn't, that's where you send it back to the officer and say, hey, this information is too vague, even though this review is not required, without giving them extra information and say, I'm going to report this person. You say, update this file, complete a review, because with the vague information, it was very difficult to fill out the form. Okay, Benitra, go ahead.
That's what I was about to say, because at this institution where I work, like, it became very contradicting because no report was being filed. They would usually come now, the staff would like, oh, well, we haven't reported or we haven't done an unusual transaction for the month. And I'm like, you want me to make up a story? Because if everything is intact and the customer providing sufficient information, then what? If it's a one-off and they have sufficient information and I'm comfortable with their proof, then I don't see the need to do an unusual transaction.
Right, because there is something called a declaration source of funds. So if it is indeed outside their profile and it is a personal account, but like Felicia said, it could be an ASU. You say you only get deposit $1,000 a month because this is what your salary is, and you corroborated that. But now I got an ASU and here's my ASU contract, so you can take that money. Yeah. So make sure you just have to.
It became where staff members just started doing a UTR just for doing its sake, and it's like the explanation didn't even make sense at some point. It's like the story don't even.
Yeah. All you have to do is say we have a very stringent account opening policy where we get sound information, and so and we have systems that support us to spit out reports every night, and so therefore we are on the ball. You know what I mean? The names are being scanned and checked, and so therefore, because we have that strong identification, account opening, onboarding, policy and procedure, that's why we don't we monitor and we do all these background checks to ensure that we get reputable customers. And so that's why it's a limited amount,
Yeah.
Right. And so I think they just want to be effective. They say, you have a whole department and 20-something people because they beefed up and they hired a lot of inspectors and all sorts of people because they had a backlog, and then they don't have a lot of, SDR. So, what's the rationale having all these people on staff in this new system and yada yada. So they always blame us, but then we blame them. So yeah, that's how it's been for years. Okay, Sheena, go ahead.
Okay, my question is in reference to a DSF form being submitted for a cryptocurrency wire. Now, our bank has blocked that because a lot of people use it through PayPal to get into their accounts, and we block it. So a question came up yesterday. Someone actually sent a wire into the funds, I guess, to get around the system to get the funds into the account. So now the branch is trying to find out what is the process. They have the funds on hold. What do? Do they accept these funds, or do they send it back, seeing the bank's policies on that? Can you shed some light on that for me?
Okay, so I don't understand. I mean, how does the bank policy is against it? That's what you say?
Yes, we don't accept cryptocurrency because I say a lot of people use it through PayPal. So to the persons, we used to do it at first.
Okay.
But now the bank has stopped it all, trading Forex currency, anything of the sort has stopped.
Okay.
And now this is the first case where somebody actually tried to do it wiring directly into their account.
Okay, yeah, but you'll have to have a safeguard in your system to block that, and compliance should have automatically said our policy states we no longer accept this. Our apologies, blah blah blah. It must be returned.
Okay, because the branch accepted it. The branch somebody have it on hold. So I figured out how.
Even if somebody made a mistake, compliance is to come back and correct that and say our policy states. So you can't have a policy stating something and you do the opposite. Remember, that's when I talked about risk appetite. This is cryptocurrency is no longer in your appetite. You have that documented. You have to follow the document, or you have to change the document.
Right.
You see? Or you have to get an exception at a high level to accept that and put that on the file. But when audit comes in or when the regulators come in, they can say, you say you don't have an appetite for PEPs, you have 5 PEPs on your book. You getting right up for that. You see what I mean? You
Right.
say no appetite for cryptocurrency, you accepted it on this date. You getting right up for that. So if
Right.
you don't have a letter on file or a memo from the CEO saying this a one-off exception, blah, 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 you still have to go and I've been told when we use those waiver letters that your policy must state that we no longer accept this. However, the CEO is allowed to approve on an exception basis. And we didn't have that in our policy, and so we still got a note.
Okay, good. So then
Yeah.
the funds will just be returned once it's not cleared or whatever, they should be returned back to the sender, right?
Yep. Because the
Okay.
policy states we no longer accept. And if
Okay.
the CEO accepts it, you still got to go back and change the policy to say we
Yeah.
accept this, that the CEO can approve it on an exception basis. Because you can still get right up if it doesn't say that.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look into that on Monday then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we understand how we establish an suspicious transaction. We are going to our institutions to find out how are we safeguarded? What does the system do? What reports do they spit out? What reports don't they spit out? Are we only checking these names at the beginning of the year and at review? Is the system scanning these names every night? And if not, what do we need to do to safeguard ourselves? We can't wait 3 years to find out Ms. Bullet going to jail 3 years ago. Okay, that again, proper due diligence. Do we understand our roles and responsibilities relating to transaction monitoring? Like Felicia said, we open that account, we see Ms. Bullet and Felicia's signature, it matched, boom, we send to that transaction. We don't read that this outside of the profile. We don't see unless this, we only look at numbers. $1,000 now, they put up to 500,000. You know, a big amount may generate an alert. But is the system in the night telling us, putting out a report the next day that Ms. Bullet went outside a transactional norm or the frequency? Ms. Bullet deposit 3 deposits of 2,000 that was over a limit, smurfing? Does our system do that? And if they do it, who is responsible to tell us? Who is responsible to do the investigation? And I'm saying this to you to take some time and find out to protect yourself, because most of the time, because we have such a good, strong onboarding process that is checked and have the proper controls in place. And we have systems that tell us, you know, when people go outside of their profile, nobody ever pays attention if a report comes out. And nobody understands how the system works and what it does. And 90% of the time, these hits and these alerts are non-active, or you do it takes you 2 hours to investigate to find out that nothing wrong. This person just needed DSF, right? So nobody really investigates these hits. They just sit there, right? And so at my office, the hit go directly to the private banking department and the account officers. And then it comes to compliance to make sure that they did it, and they never do it. They never ever do it. So because nobody wants to take the time to do the investigation and store the information that they found to prove that this was a non-active hit, okay? So 90% of the time, it's null and void. You just wasted 2 hours of investigations to find out this is null and void, but it still has to be done. So you really need to find out whose responsibility is it? And you need to go and say, give me the research, give me the source document where you prove this transaction was indeed null and void. Nobody has it, because if I have 100 hits today and I look through it, oh yeah, that's fine, not in the profile. You know, and I have a system that I type in the profile, My thing is just type in the profile, you know, and the ones where the investigator actually had to call our FIU to talk to the FIU in Panama because they had arrested somebody. And like I say, if you work in offshore, you'll know that the in the Spanish countries, the silver, the this, or these very common. Everybody named Pedro the Silva, or Jose the Silva, or something like that. And so they locked him up, and they didn't put his date of birth in the newspaper. And so therefore, I had the same Jose the Silva, and I couldn't determine if, you know, I had a straight date of birth on our side. So I Googled, I gone over all, you know, all through the internet looking, trying to find out if this was the same person. And so I had to contact the IFIU, send them a letter, say, I'm trying to identify this person. They said, we'll contact the FIU in Panama and get back to you. I am happy that I did, you know, I did put a memo on file that I've done extensive research and I was unable to find it. And so I said, but I think it's the same person, you know, so I didn't let it go. So I was happy that, you know, I was able then to file my suspicious transaction report because it was indeed the same person. Okay, so sometimes you have to go the extra mile because the internet doesn't always tell you, or Word Check doesn't always give you all the information, or the names are still similar. Another thing, you know, and I think we talked about this, if you deal like with Russia, the women don't, if the father's last name is CH, Russian women can't use a C because that's gender something. So they use a SH or feminine versus masculine. And so that could be your daddy and your last name can be spelled with SH, but their name is spelled with CH or vice versa. That's out of Russia. And so when you do your world check, you have to make sure that you check the two versions of the names, because even though in Russian it's different in English, if your daddy name SH, we spell your name with SH. So you have to check the two spellings. The other day, somebody wanted to open an account with us, and they just said, Miss Fuller, check this name, and it was Dimitri, Dimitri. And I Googled it, and I word checked it, I got no hits. When he came to open up the account, he sent his passport spelled in the Russian way, Dymtri. When I put that in the system, this man had like 10 hits, right? So I was very confused because Dimitri, word check asks you for an exact match or a part match. And so if Dimitri is spelled with a Y, I expected in the part match that to show up, and it didn't, you know? So sometimes you have to go to Google and say, how is this spelled in Russian? Okay, I don't, Felicia, I don't know. I know you're working offshore. Have you ever had that type of problem with spellings?
Yes, ma'am. And that's why anytime I get a Russian, they ask me even to just do a search on a Russian passport, I tell them they need to get the correct spelling for me.
Yeah, look at the passport if you want to spell it. But if you try,
yes, I have the passport, but I still ask them as well to type out how the name is, because many times what it says in the passport is not our English spelling almost sometimes.
Right.
But so I would run both of them.
Correct. Okay. So we understand all the little issues, and then again, roles and responsibilities. Who is monitoring the system? Do they disseminate the information? If I'm not in compliance, but I'm an account officer, are they sending me this information every day? Am I doing my reviews to ensure that sufficient information is on the file so that in the event we need this information, that it's there? Or so I can really know my client and say, oh no, this is outside Miss Bullet profile, or, you know, so you want to corroborate that information and ensure that you know who's responsible to share it. Sorry, go ahead, Candace.
Sorry. My bad.
Oh, okay.
A family member, sorry.
Okay. So again, once your staff would have sent in these suspicious transaction reports, you want to really have them commit to not tipping off, okay? Because it's very easy to say, Chamis, but if you can't take this money, because um, they invested this, so you have to be very careful. Or this your cousin and I call on the phone and say, I hear them asking questions about you, they can file a support, you better hurry up, get your money. And normally, by the time we find out, like some international news or media or what have you, then people then start, you will see the money coming already being wired out the bank. They done send 10 wires and we just finding out that they arrested or they in jail or what have you. Okay, so news travels very, very fast. So you have to be very conscious and committed to not tipping off, because of course we know that tipping off is an offense. Okay, so I got this. Sorry, Mr. What's the guy name again? Edison. Child, yeah, this outside your profile. I have to fill out this one suspicion. I can take the money, but I have to put in one suspicious transaction report. Right? Some of us have them conversations, right? So we want to be careful with that.
Miss Paulette, not to interrupt you, but I feel now that everything is so straightforward. Like I feel like some customers are already aware and know the system that once you reject a transaction, I feel like automatically that is raised a red flag to them that you about to do something.
Yeah, but are you sharing with them that you rejected it?
No, but I
mean,
they're aware that. I'm just saying, for example, simple as when I used to work as a teller, if a customer comes to make a deposit, at one point they was telling us if the customer can provide the source or whatever, we don't accept the cash. So at that point, the customer is already aware that, okay, they can't accept my cash. Either they're about to make a report or they're about to close. They ask me to close my account, or in some source they're aware that something is about to happen.
But Benito, let me ask you, what would be the step when you say no, I can't accept it? What's the next step after that?
I mean, after that, then you do the report. When you write the report, you make aware that you did not receive the transaction was not processed. However, the customer still attempted to make the deposit.
But I and that's I am surprised because I was always trained that you take the deposit, you put it on hold,
that, like I said,
and then you file your report.
And that's the reason. Straight across the board, I get one to be on the same page, because some managers would be like, don't take the cash. Some managers will say take the cash. So it's like straight across the board, different branches do different things. And that was one of my concerns, because if at one branch I'm told do not take the cash, but you still do the UTR, but do not take the cash. And then at another branch, you take the cash and still do the UTR. The money not clean because the money already inside the bank.
Yeah, but that's why you hold it. Because see, the thing about it, like you say, when you don't take the cash, you alert the customer right then. That's right there.
I don't know if lawfully, if you, okay, so say that it comes off as the money is some type of drug money or whatever. What do you then do? Because you still have to return. Do you return? You have to return the customer money, the funds back to them, even if you close the account.
No, you don't. No,
you don't have to.
And the money isn't cleaned.
No, what happens is you take the money is placed on hold, you file a suspicious transaction form. I know at Royal Bank, if you read the fine print on the back of the signature card, it tells a customer that the bank has 3 days. You can hold this money and reject you from having it, or that's your commitment when you sign the signature card on like the trust documents and stuff like that. I think it says you gotta hold the money up for 3 months. You know what I'm saying?
So when it's time to release the money to the customer, how do you then release it?
If that's going to be used as evidence, that's the evidence, so that'll be released. So after you file that suspicious transaction report, you now engage the FIU. You say, listen, the customer in the bank trying to make a withdrawal. What do I do? They say delay them. Exercise your right to hold it for 3 days. We'll get back to you in 24 hours. Like that's the type of conversations we would have until the FIU say, oh no, that's our evidence now. We send in a writ to block that account, and that's how it happened. So you in conversation with them saying, this account is very active. it's going to be difficult not to alert this client. So you give them that type of information, and they tell you what to do.
So I have another question. You said wire bank have a fine print writing. So say then you, okay, I make a deposit. My cash, my funds placed on hold. But the writing says 3 days or say you said 30 days. Okay, it's 30 days now. I still haven't got an update from you guys, but you in the writing it says up to 30 days. So now this is like 2 months and my funds still on hold. So what then happened? Because the writing says 30 days and we already passed that.
Well, again, first people that say compliance, that's the rawest thing. You don't say compliance, stop it, or compliance want information or what have you. The manager will then have to engage that person and give them an explanation. The FIU, and we let them know that this person is coming in the bank. They will act right away because they tell you the police investigating it and they will get any subpoena or what have you to hold that fund. Ain't nothing you can do. Remember you wasn't in intro, but we talked about freezing orders, disclosure orders, production orders. They send an order to the bank, nothing you could do. It in the police hands. So by that time, that person would have already been picked up and either charged or questioned. You see what I mean? So essentially, you only buy in time for the police to do their investigation. So they know that most banks, the commercial banks, only allow 3 days, and that's what you do. You turn over the signature card and you say, sir, the bank has the right to blah, blah, blah. This is what you agree to when you open the account. And so when we started enforcing this, I told my account opening officers, listen, show them this fine print, please, before you sign the signature card. And people do question it.
And there's an institution that when they do open an account, they the way of verification is them send you an email address. So they would send their booklet, their PFSA or whatever. They would email it to you and you respond back by saying acknowledge. Now that's all the fine print and whatever. But now we humans don't read.
Right. So in the terms and conditions, it's there. And so I told my account opening officers, tell these people we have the right. And so one gentleman said, how often do you exercise the right? And we said, we normally don't have to, but if the police gets involved, it's exercise. And so he said, okay, understood. I don't want to open my account anymore. We said, okay. He came back 5 days later and said, do you know that every bank I went to, another bank said 7 days, so I'll stick with your 3 days. He said, I ain't doing nothing wrong, but I just wouldn't want my money. And I said, normally it normally doesn't happen. Unless you go and money launder and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The bank don't say, but we run out of money, we broken, we can't pay you on your savings account, And if that's that happens, deposit insurance is $50,000. So I say if you have less than 50,000 on an account, you're still okay, All right, so just so you would know, but you try and again, if you are afraid or perhaps just turn it over to the manager. My whole career, I was always taught, I turn it over to the manager, I let it go. I go on with my business. It's no longer my,
problem.
Yeah, let them figure out how to with the telephone. And I've had a lot of irate customers and I've had to share that policy with them over and over. And so I told my staff, please tell them this up front. So when they come, and the police, when they have had the freeze funds within 24 hours, they only can hold you for 48. They would have already had the person in question or whatever, already gotten their order to send to the bank to say it's frozen, and then it's like outside of our hands. Simple as that, Okay, so good. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. Where is it? 1 second. It's there. Okay. Let's look at this suspicious transaction form. Okay. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So as the MLRO, this is the form. You may have this is 6 pages. And so normally you'll have a one-sheeter within your institution for your staff to fill out, and sometimes you may go back to them because you may need information. So this form needs to be filled out in its entirety, or they send it back, or they call you and ask you for extra information. So you could say, depending on how many STRs your company has sent, and how many, you put the date, the pages, and then you say the disclosure type. Is this a proceeds of crime? Is this drug trafficking? Is this terrorism or other? And of course, we know there are 21 crimes under money laundering. They are quoting Anti-Terrorism Act in 2000 and 2004. And of course, we have been updated since 2018. So they probably they haven't updated this form as yet. I don't see a version date on this, but seeing that they are quoting 2004, it's an old form, but I haven't seen an updated version. I tried to click on other versions, but I don't see it. So they have to update this. But of course, we know that there are 21 crimes. So this can be tax evasion. This can be extortion. This can be bribery. What else can go there? Who is there? Let me call her name. Deandra, I hear from you today. You all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what other crime could go under this? It fall in the other 21 crimes under money laundering. Give me one.
Okay. So
counterfeiting.
not what I was gonna say, but yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said yeah, we could go with counterfeiting, or it wasn't that what I was gonna say though, but I can remember what it was. That still falls under like when we talked about the handbags or DVDs and different things like that. Okay.
Yeah, and then what is our topic for this semester?
Sorry, say it again. My apologies. I have some background noise.
Okay, so what's our topic for this semester? Somebody help her. Stevania, I hear from you from this class. You there?
Hello?
You there? What our topic for this semester is? How you doing?
Is risk management?
No. What our Egmont group topic is?
Terrorist financing.
Stevania, you in this class? My straight A student.
I'm sorry, I'm having a low moment right now.
Okay, all right. I can catch you next week because this class almost over. And
yeah, I started late. My Wi-Fi and my Zoom was acting up.
Okay. So
is it fraud?
Yes, it is fraud. So Stevania, you make sure I hear from you next week.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so fraud. Yes. So very prevalent. Yeah. So make sure you're aware of the 21 different crimes. Okay. And then the name of the disclosing institution, the full address. We don't have a sort code, so I don't ever pull that out. The name of person handling, which is the MLRO. The money laundering reporting officer, contact person, email, telephone, and what have you. The subject of disclosure, is this individual or is it company? Okay, and then if it's a company, then you have to list the signatories. So that gets a little bit more complex. So, but if it's an individual, they want the full name, the date and place of birth, their occupation, and their full address. Okay, so you want to make sure that this account didn't open in 2000, it's now 2021, and we never do a review. Okay, because we want up-to-date current information. Okay, so that's the importance of the reviews. What's the person telephone number, email address, or home phone? Again, the law requires you to have 2 forms of address. So it can't be that you don't have a telephone number or email. I don't know what the 2 forms of that you would have. Yeah. Okay, so if it's a company, you want the company name, the type of business, the full address, and any identification document. So like I said, it becomes complicated because you actually have to send the certificate of incorporation, the memorandums of articles of association, and what have you. With an individual, you will send the passports and if you had a job letter and a confirmation of the full address. Okay, and then again, if it's a company, Now, who is the beneficial owner? What are what is their date and place of birth? What is their occupation and telephone number? Or if we have our POA, our power of attorney signing on our behalf, who are they? What are their names and their passport and their date of birth and their occupation and what have you? If it's an intermediary, the information there. Um, the account information activity. What type of account? Is it individual or joint? Is it a trust? Is it a loan? What is the account number? The date open, date close if applicable, the amount of assets held within the account, the jurisdiction where it's held. Is it held all in the Bahamas, or is it some in the Bahamas, or we haven't invested in the in securities? And if so, which country? Is it the US market or the European market, Asian market? Other accounts held by any of the parties involved. So this just the power of attorney, but he on 4 other accounts. So you have to list all that information. This is a beneficial owner, and he have 5 accounts, so you list all of that. And then the reason for your suspicion. So we want the amount, details and sums arousing suspicion indicating debt, debit or credit, source and currency use. Debit or credit, the date, the source, and the currency. Okay, and so all of this information in detail, and like I said, it becomes cumbersome if it's a company and with power of attorney signing and what have you, and they could be affiliated with 10 other accounts, and they want all that information because they want to, investigate all the relationships and check them all to make sure that, no shell companies, or they want to see who's connected to whom. So this is why we give you practice the essays, because you see this long paragraph. Now, this is where you tell us exactly, please describe the details of the transaction and the activity that promoted the report, given reason for your suspicion, and any steps that have already been taken. Have you done your own investigation? Include information on third parties, the payee, the payer, the deliverer of checks, stocks, guarantee, beneficiaries, guarantee sureties, third-party security creditors. Please add continuation sheets if necessary. And you always have to add a continuation sheet. And then you sign, you submit your position as the MLRO. And then for statistical information, and a lot of times people just send it, but they send it right back. What type of institution are you? Are you a bank? Are you a fund manager? Are you a bureau de exchange? Of course, this must be a European document that they copied and pasted. Are you a stockbroker, trust company, a lawyer, accountant, what have you? Customer type involving at least one intermediary, long-standing customer, new customer, electronic banking or euro transaction, criminality expected. And again, they have more categories: drugs, terrorism, fraud, insider dealing, regulatory matters, unknown, or sometimes you don't have sufficient information. So they have an option there for unknown, but again, at the end of the day, you still have to explain yourself. So again, out of Malaysia, we had a bad and found out that just he had, was running for prime minister, just like Brave, and you saw all those negative medias that came out about him and Peter Nygaard. So again, the FIU had investigated the government of Malaysia and found that it was just a smear campaign because he was running for political office, right? And out of that, we were able to make him a pep because we didn't even know that he was running, for the government in Malaysia. Okay, so media and publicity is important, and you want to ensure that you're aware of any negative media. And so that's all the various categories, and then what type of currency is involved. And sometimes there's more than one. Okay, and so this is the form that the MLRO has to gather sufficient information to be able to fill this out, to write a report. And again, this is why the failing to disclose penalty was increased, because you had a lot of staff members who gave you, there's an internal form and they give you a one-liner. When you go to interview them and try to get sufficient information to fill out this, oh, I can't remember, I can't do this, and what have you. So of course, on everybody's job description, we made it mandatory that they understand AML, they attend all the trainings, and they must not tip off or fail to disclose it. So some people will let go, and then some people were protected by the CEO, and the CEO was like, she doesn't have to disclose, she's just a teller, but she's on the front line. And so if she is not disclosing, how is the MLRO? Should you make up a story to say exactly what happened? So you have to train your staff to, know that compliance is everybody's business. You should never, compliance does not speak to customers, and you should never ever say that compliance to block this, or, those the things that we can't take this money. When we can't take this money, you tip off. Okay, so yeah, you definitely have to follow your company's policy, but you have to ask questions. Are we not tipping off if we don't take this, or what is the process, But definitely know what the policy states, and follow it, okay, and provide as much information and be forthcoming as much as possible. Normally only CEOs and MLROs go to court. Only if that staff member, like in the Edison Sumner case or in the Michelle Reckley case, where it was grave negligence, where Michelle Reckley was only making say $2,000 a month, she was able to deposit 1.3 million. You would find that the officer, who managed that account may have been charged with collusion, definitely negligence, and what have you. Okay, so this is the form. Do we have any questions? No, we still there?
Clear as mud.
Okay, great. Okay, so I promise I would be short and sweet. I don't know if that was any short and sweet. So you still have sufficient time to go and do your classwork. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns, or I think the hardest part, everybody is familiar with the suspicious transaction form and what it takes to fill it out. But I really want you to go to your institutions and find out the systems. How do they work? Do they make sense? Are there any gaps? Do I need to do anything manually? Because even though 95% of the hits are null and void, that one hit could send you to jail. That one hit could shut down your entire institution. Okay? And I was at Royal Bank. We were very, very profitable, the trust company. And we had that one hit that shut down the entire bank. And it shut down the entire bank because Royal Bank did not want to suffer the reputational risks, of the other 5 entities that was in the Bahamas, while we were being sued, charged with tax evasion, and being sued by the French government for this artwork that was stored in a storage facility in the name of Royal Bank because it was the trust company. Okay, that was the straw that broke the camel back. So you do those investigations, you keep those source documents, you stop clicking and giving one-liners because you want to be able to prove yourself. Or sometimes you would have checked, and these people are very savvy and they are very smart, and they can fraud the system. And you may get caught up in an instance where you did a check, but they were just that savvy and they defrauded the system, or they infiltrated your bank. The way to save yourself is to not be negligent, to be able to pull out your source document and say, here's the date where I did the balance and check, and this is what I came up with. This is what the policy says to do, and I did it. Half of the time, we don't know the policy. We don't know the systems that support us. We don't know if there are any gaps. And so that one time, it costs us to go to jail. Okay, so educate yourself, because we are human beings. We can make mistakes. And we know the hackers and scanners are very much smarter than we are. They have more time while we work in a 9 to 5. They hacking and scanning and from 9 to 5, relaxing their mind, so they are not overworked and overwhelmed. Our way out is to, this is what the policy says. I know the policy. This is what I did. Here's my source document. And prove yourself and stay safe. Okay? Any questions or concerns? No? Okay, then ladies, so y'all have a fabulous weekend. And we'll do this again next week.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye-bye.
you. Take care, Ms. Buller.
Okay, you too. Thank you.